Jamie Jenkins is here. Is it a tragedy, Jamie, as we say in the land of literary?
Well, Mike, I tell you what, I'd like to know all this talk about smoking. I'd like to know what Keir Starmer smokes, Mike, because he's obviously deluded. He must be smoking some wacky tobacco every single morning.
I think he's smoking crystal meth at this point, because he might as well be. Yesterday, he came out with all this guff still about, we've brought waiting lists down, we've steadied the economy, we've made the country safer, we've made it more respected on the international. I mean, all of it is complete and utter nonsense, isn't it?
Oh, well, I'll give him some credit, Mike. He has got these hotel numbers down. So you were just talking with me about the hotels and the accommodation and stuff. So he has got the hotel numbers down. I was looking at I published on my Substack the other day, I think, got the numbers here. So the number of asylum seekers in hotels is down 8,676 now since the election. But, and we touched on this, they've literally just, it's like a sleight of hand. You can get a magician. Yeah, Paul Daniels, God rest his soul. If you got him on the show, Mike, you could probably do it himself. Literally, it's just a sleight of hand. You're just moving them from one set of numbers. And the reason they're doing that is because obviously the media kept saying, oh, it's ridiculous the amount we're spending on bloody hotels. So we've seen about nearly 7,000 increase in people being dispersed into accommodation. And that story that's kicked off, isn't it, this week? Those 83 going into these new builds in Shropshire. But obviously, you kind of know where they are. But the big thing for me, and you're spot on the show this morning, is that you disperse these people into communities. And Starmer saying he's making communities safer. It's absolute nonsense.
It's tosh. Well, I mean, the family that were interviewed, who are living in this place, a guy called Mohammed Nadeem from Pakistan. He moved to the street with his wife and 4 children 2 weeks ago. Not only do they get the free house, but they've also got something like 300 quid being handed to them in cash every single week. So not only are we paying to house them, we're also paying for everything else that they do.
Yeah, and Mike, we get hundreds of thousands of people that go back and forth every year to Pakistan. So what is he doing in this country, claiming asylum, having a home? You've got young people who can't afford it. Pakistan, tell me what is going on in Pakistan that means that he needs to come over here with a family. If he's got his young family, he can't be gay, I suppose.
No. Apparently, well, in the interview that he goes to the Daily Mail, he talked about how they had to leave Pakistan because the family was being blackmailed, and it was dangerous for them to stay where they were. And I'm like, well, that's all very well, but what's it got to do with us? Sorry.
Well, we get blackmailed by Rachel Reeves to pay our tax every single week, Mike. So,
quite.
What are we going to do about that? But it's I think what you need to be doing, I think you're spot on what you're saying on the show. When they land, many of these people are coming on these boats because they're not even paying the gangs. They're coming over here to work for gangs.
Yeah.
So the only way you're going to fix this problem is literally fly them off somewhere. They keep saying, oh, you can't go to a third country. Stick them on some Scottish island. And then they'll soon realise, oh, it's a bit cold up there. I'm not going to the UK. Get them on these boats, I think that you were just talking about as well, these boats out into the oceans where they can temporarily process them. That's the only way you're going to stop all this nonsense, Mike, because we're literally, one thing that is true, the numbers coming over on boats is down. When I put the numbers up, you get the left wingers saying, oh, you don't get any balance. They are down, but they're still nearly 12,000 this year, Mike. So being down from a high number last year, that's 12,000 people. We have no idea who they are. If only one of them goes on and attacks a young child or a female across the country, that's one too many. So just lauding the fact that they're down on last year because 12,000 had come over, that just goes to show how nonsense this debate's got, I think, with the small boats.
Well, exactly right. Because, I mean, they might only be down for all sorts of reasons. There might be, reasons why they will go up again. And if the weather remains decent over the next couple of months, it might overtake last year's figures. It's impossible to know because there's no reason why you can explain why the number is down. Nobody can tell you that.
Well, there's thousands in northern France waiting to come over. So, and they're coming from Belgium as well. The weather is a massive factor in this, Mike.
Yeah.
And talking about, I think we got another heat wave planned for next week. I had to put the heating on in the car yesterday, so I don't know what's happening in the middle of June, Mike. I got into the car, it was freezing. So we are expecting another heat wave. What happens? The sun shines, the boats fly over. So that's pretty much what we're going to see in the next week, I reckon.
Yeah, absolutely right. And meanwhile, as we give more and more money away from the Exchequer, as we just said, £18,700 per head for these people seeking asylum, we're getting poorer. Real household disposable income per head is down, isn't it?
Yeah, so this is an interesting one. A survey done one of the banks looking at wealth across the world, and so UK wealth, the out per adult now, we're down 23% since 2020. One of the worst in the whole developed world. It just goes to show what the kind of the Tories did and Starmer with all these high taxes and stuff. And what do we mean by wealth, Mike? Well, it's basically what you got in your homes, your savings, your pensions, and your investments after you take off kind of debt and then inflation. And one of the problems the UK has, and this links into what Zach Polanski would talk for wealth taxes. We've had Corbyn talking for something in the past. Will Burnham go down that road as well? Why the UK struggle a bit on this is because we're exposed more with our energy, because we've obviously talked in the past of our reliance on importing gas. We don't use our own energy. Inflation was much higher in the UK, so that's eroded the value of a lot of our wealth in the last 5 years. And what was interesting in the report as well, Mike, is we got one of the higher kind of when you look at household debt versus the gross wealth that we got one of the highest. It's about 20% household debt when you compare that to wealth. It's nearly double the US. So when interest rates go up, which is what we've seen over the last 5 years, that impacts the UK more. But we've got a lot of our wealth, Mike, tied up in bricks and mortar in the UK. So what that pretty much means is that if you try to have a wealth tax, which is maybe Birmingham, you get the lefties, you get the backbenchers of the Labour Party saying, we want even more tax, let's tax the wealth. If you've got a house, you've got approved properties, Mike, I'm sure. And if you say, oh, we're going to tax you because you're a bit wealthier than somebody who's living in the north, where not where the north lives, Andy Burnham, the problem you got, Mike, is you can't literally pay wealth out of a kitchen extension. It's all in bricks and mortar. So we've got a higher proportion of our wealth tied up in that kind of assets compared to, say, financial assets. It's just a travesty, Mike. It's just another example of where this country's going to the dogs.
I know. And another one, finally, is the snowflake generation. 1 million children referred for mental health support.
Yeah, well, this one's a travesty, really. So the number of children, and we're not talking these young people where we know nearly 500,000 16 to 29-year-olds are on this PIP payment for kind of psychiatric disorders. This is actually children who are 0 to 18 years old, actual children referred for mental health support. 1 million of them, doubled since 2019. Now, we got to get some support to children. But you telling me that the problem's literally doubled in about 5 or 6 years? The key question for me with these numbers, Mike, is what society are we creating? Are we literally creating a snowflake generation? I coach a football team, and the key thing I try to get into them is it's all about your attitude. It's about your effort. We'll reward that. We actually won the league this year, Mike. We had a big celebration last week. We won the league.
Well done.
Yeah, qualify for under 13s. So we qualified for like a mini Champions League in South Wales. But they were rewarded for the effort they put in. But if teachers give feedback saying, oh, you must do better, some of them think, oh, that's going to affect my mental health. I need some counselling. So how many parents are looking for a label now, Mike, to get some kind of benefit? It's too easy to label children. And this snowflake generation of 1 million, it's just absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, it is mad. Incredible. Jamie, good to see you. Thank you very much indeed. We've got to run. Jamie Jenkins there checking in with us from good old Wales.